And welcome back. We're going to continue work on our ninja. So the next thing we want to do is create our body, arms, and legs. So in order to do that, I need to create layers that are going to correspond to each of those pieces. So let's go ahead and add a layer for the body. We're going to add layers for each arm. So I might call this, for example, you can say left arm, right arm, however you want to think about it. Or you can even say, arm 1, arm 2. The important thing is you just keep track of this. Since this character is currently facing to the right, I'm going to assume that one arm is going to be the left arm and the other arm will be the right arm, with the left arm being behind the body. And then we'll do the same thing with the legs. Have a left leg, and we'll make a right leg. All right. Now that those are all created, we can then go to the body layer to get started. And we're going to start first with our rectangle tool. Now, one of the things that we can do to make our life a little nicer is we do have the option to bend our corners here a little bit. Because if I just draw a rectangle normally, you will notice we have these nice pointed edges. And of course, we can shape these, but we of course can also add different things to make that a little bit nicer. So right here we have a rectangle corner radius, and if I were to change this value, let's just change this to 5, and I were to draw this, you will notice that now my corners are a lot softer. They have been rounded here. And if we go up to 10, you will see then that those corners are even greater rounded. So it's just a nice way for us to come in here and make some softer edges here. I'm just going to go ahead and leave this at 10 for now. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and draw in our body. But we might want to do an oval tool here because the body center is probably, look at this reference image, much more round. So let's go ahead and just draw our body. And then we can just relocate that to here. Now notice I did end up with a stroke here. So if I do have something like that that happens, it's very easy to go back and change it. I can just take the stroke, shut that off, so I don't have to worry about an outline unless I want one. So again, put our body in. We're then just going to manipulate this with our tool to kind of have a more natural body shape. And we can play around this too as we start adding different pieces in here. Now you'll notice in our reference image, the head is on top of the body. So I will want to make sure that that head layer is dragged up above the body layer, so that effectively we have the head over top the body. Now to go ahead and add the arms and legs. So if I go to my left arm, I am going to here in my rectangle tool make sure that my radius set. I'm actually going to add that stroke back on. I'm going to make it a little lighter here because I don't want that as pronounced. And I'm just going to go ahead and draw in a rectangle for the back arm. And then I will switch to a kind of more of an oval to do the hand. And what I'm going to do is, when I do my selection tool, I'm actually going to zoom in here. So what I want to do is kind of use the Alt key to kind of bring this in here to really start separating out fingers. So if I hold down Alt, you'll notice that I get the option here to kind of drag in and create fingers here from this shape. And I don't necessarily need to go too crazy here, but I just need to have enough that when I create this, it's going to bend it in and allow me to manipulate these appendages in such a way that I actually have fingers to work with. And you might have to play around with it just a little bit to get kind of the desired angle and effect that you want. But if you get 3, maybe 4 fingers, that's probably going to be enough just to demonstrate this. All right. And once I'm zoomed in here and I have all my fingers, the other thing I'm going to want to maybe do is to just come in here and bend this into, maybe try to make these a little more equal in size. So you can spend time playing around with this. So I'm not going to spend much more time on this because this is looking pretty good for what we want in our animation. All right. So now that our hand is set up, I'm also going to manipulate the arm a little bit here. So this looks in just a little bit more natural with our arm. Because again, we want this to kind of appear to be something that's a little bit more natural and not so disjointed. So I'm just going to narrow that up just a little bit. And now you can see we have our left arm. Again, the left arm right now, we can see that in our very faint border here, that it is over top of the body. So we want to make sure that that body and head layer, therefore, are going to be above it. But we can drag that at the end. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to take what I've done here on the left arm, and I want to copy that over for my right arm. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on both of these, and I can lock those under the layers so I don't accidentally grab the head or the body. We're just going to click and drag to select them, and then we're just going to Control C to copy, go to my right arm, and then I can right click and can choose Paste in Place. And then now with that object selected and making sure I'm on my right arm layer, I can then move that arm down to be a different spot, grab my transform tool, and actually just hold down the shift key just a little bit and want to stretch that up in size. Because remember, this is a little further away, so this arm should appear a little bit smaller. And what I want to do is maybe manipulate this. You can see that we barely can see this with this outline. So I may want to say, I want this body maybe not to be the exact same shade. So we can easily do that by just going to our paint bucket tool. We can go back and reference our original image. You can notice here that the body is a lot darker than the arms. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to grab this paint bucket tool, grab my eyedrop selector, grab this light gray that's on the arms. And I'm just going to go ahead and go to each arm, and I'm just going to go ahead and fill that in. So let's do the right arm first, and then I will do the left arm next. All right. And there we go. We have our arms filled in. You do see we have this weird kind of line that's right here. So I can just delete that out with the selection tool here. Just go ahead and click on that. And now we've cleaned up these hands pretty nicely here now. Now we can move on to doing our legs. So it's going to be the same process. We're going to grab our rectangle tool to start to go ahead and draw our first leg. And we want to make sure we're doing this on the left leg first, because this is going to end up going behind our character when we're done. So I'm going to draw the left leg first. And then I'm going to switch to the oval tool to do my foot. And again, we'll use our selection tool to kind of twist and distort this in such a way so that it appears to be much more natural and fitting within this. Once you have this leg secured, let's go ahead and then copy and paste that over to the other side. So again, we're going to make sure that body layer is locked because we don't want to accidentally grab that. And using our selection tool, go ahead and select those. We're going to copy and paste. And I put it on the left leg layer. Want to make sure I move to that right leg layer. Move that on over. Switch to my transform tool. And I'm going to hold the shift key down and just go ahead and stretch that just a little bit so it gets a little bit larger. All right, and if we zoom out here, we can see this, and it looks like this leg is a little too small still. So I'm going to switch over here, make sure I grab both of these pieces here. And I want to make sure I don't grab that right leg. So the easiest way to do that, lock that right leg layer. Because it looks like this leg is just a little too small for my liking, so I'm just going to stretch that just a little bit. Switch to my right leg. And I'm just going to go ahead and stretch that one just a little bit more. All right. Now that these are set up, I do need to change the ordering just a little bit. Let's go ahead and take that left leg, and we're just going to drag that left leg down until it's below the body. And you can see that it's now kind of hidden below the body. And we do the same thing with the left arm. We're also going to drag that below the body layer. And that's going to give us a much more natural kind of look here. So that way this arm is here, this one arm is partially hidden by the body. Same thing here. It does look like this leg is maybe sticking out just a little bit too much. So I might take that left leg, for example, and just slide that in just a little bit. All right. Now, at this point, we do need to come back and do some shadows and stuff like that for this. But I think this is a good stopping point here for getting our character started.